channel, there has been a new Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire trailer number 2. And I've seen it. My friend Rick, non-Godzilla fan, has not seen it. And I have low expectations that he's going to thoroughly enjoy this trailer. He saw the first one.
I did.
How did you like that?
I did not.
Did not like it,
I
right?
did not like it. Kong with his power glove, running with his buddy. Like, no. None of it's, no.
I get it. It's kind of got a Michael Bay feel to it. It's kind of goofy. I'll let you see it, and we'll witness the glory that is a non-Godzilla fan checking out Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire trailer number 2. Okay, and then we're going to talk about it.
Is it Bumblebee's hand? It is Michael Bay.
I did think that when I first saw it. In this plot.
You're in this movie. What's wrong with you?
We've discovered Kong, Godzilla, something even they're afraid of.
Unfortunately, it is.
Inside the Planet of the Apes.
Yes.
The extended run scene.
Rise together, huh? Or fall alone. Power glove. A whip that looks like a spinal column. Okay. Well, there it was.
All right. Well, you didn't once go, all right.
No, of course. No, I did not once go, all right. No. This is, I mean, again, right? I've seen Godzilla vs. Kong, and I felt pretty strongly about how much I did not like that movie. This movie is the same exact vibe, right? Like, so.
A continuation of what you didn't
What
like.
I did not like. Just
Okay.
amped up. Now it's rise together, fall alone. What?
Yeah, I don't like the tags. Here's the thing. Most people that like Godzilla movies like this, they've built up an immunity to this sort of Godzilla movie.
Sure.
By being fans of the 70s stuff. And the American Legendary Pictures Godzilla is obviously going down a big, bombastic... It's not kiddie fair, but it is like action figure-y, Transformers, He-Man, G.I. Joe, Power Gloves, Gimmicks.
Yes.
They're hitting all the sound effects and taglines and everything twirling around. There's probably not going to be anything beyond that that's going to be like... It's not like this trailer came out and it just hit all those trailer marks and we're going to go to the theater and be like, wow, this
Amazed.
is...
Like, oh my God,
There's
so much depth here.
You can tell, all right, we've also been spoiled because we've seen Godzilla -1 with a focus on their characters and a focus on the cinematography. And you know that the characters in this movie are pretty much like whoever sat down to write them is obviously like, how can we make them kind of quippy and funny and
Yes.
marvelly? I can be in an action movie and I can have a charismatic lead and everybody gets their funny quips.
We're all quippy. We all have the same personality.
Yeah.
We're all in the same action.
We all the same
Yeah,
writer just wrote himself into every character.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what this is following. None of that in Godzilla -1. No. So what you got here is 2 parallel Godzilla franchises.
Right.
We got dun 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 dun. We have like a circus.
Yes.
And then we have
like you touched in the other video that we've done talking about -1. This is a toy commercial.
Yep.
This harkens back to me in 80 whoever, and I'm buying He-Man action figure number 27 because that's the character that showed up in that episode. That's all this is. It's hard to see what's going on. Like it's the Transformers is a really good comparison. Like you watch those Transformers movies and it's like, who is that? What are they doing? It's just
yeah. I get it. I get it.
And if the plot's Hollow Earth, do we know who the villain? Do you know who the villain is? Like I don't. Again, well, I don't know anything about any of this. So is this?
I know some stuff about the movie, and I know what people are calling some of these creatures. There is an orange, reddish, orangutan-ish looking King Kong creature, which they call, and I don't know where it's officially called, but he's called the Scar King, which I think is hilarious because when I first saw the first teaser where he's sitting on the throne, and that somebody said that his name was the Scar King. For some reason, it reminded me of The Lion King, where Scar, where Jeremy Irons.
Oh god, that would be so much better. Like, let's get Jeremy Irons in here to play a giant kaiju. Jeremy Irons, that would be interesting.
Like you could hear their internal monologues.
Uncle Scar, when I'm king, what'll that make you?
A monkey's uncle.
You're so weird.
You have no idea.
They might as well be talking at this point.
Yeah. They have tools. They have. Kong has a power glove, obviously.
Yes.
Which means somebody said, Kong, chill for a second. We're going to put this on you.
Put this on you. Because the Scar King apparently hurt your hand with his spinal column whip or whatever the hell he's wielding.
That's... when I saw the whip, I was like, that's kind of cool.
I mean, it's
not practical, but it's kind of cool.
You know where it's cool? In a martial arts film.
Yeah.
It's not a giant kaiju movie. Pick a genre. Pick a thing.
Sure.
Maybe. Or at least do a merge entertainingly. I can't get excited about this.
I saw a couple of shots in there too that reminded me of like, do you remember that old Neo Geo game where there was like King of the Monsters? It wasn't Godzilla, but it was like, we're going to take monsters vaguely reminiscent of Godzilla, vaguely reminiscent of Mechagodzilla, vaguely reminiscent of Kong, and have them all fight in it. And it was like a 4-player game where it was a 45-degree angle of a city, and the monsters are all fighting and in amongst the buildings. And it was the exact same shot. They've had other video games that have had that same feel. There's obviously another kaiju other than... And let me say spoilers, because I know that a lot of people try to avoid anything that hasn't officially been released by the trailers. But there are toys out there.
Why are you watching this if you're doing that? But whatever, more power to you.
Yeah, well, you have the power of choice. So please pause it and come back to it later. Or, hit stop and never come back. I mean, whichever you prefer. But there is spoilers. There's the Scar King, who is the red ape, who actually looks a little bit like he's an albino ape that has put on some sort of either war paint or that's blood or something. I've seen various things that look like it could be each. I don't know. Either way, he's reddish. He's got an orangutan vibe to him. And he seems to be the villain, and he seems like Jeremy Irons from the...
Lion King.
He looks like he's in charge of the lions in a desolate spot, except now he's in charge of the apes in a desolate spot.
Yeah.
All the apes look sort of dejected. They look like they've been toiling on the assembly line in the Hollow Earth. And he's ruling over him with a spinal column of some sort of monster. And I don't know why they don't all just rise up against him. But there is another kaiju. There is another kaiju, spoilers, who is an ice monster, an ice kaiju that can obviously you saw it in the trailer. Kong was trying to deflect it, but it wasn't heat ray, it was ice ray, and it was like freezing the thing. That is a monster. I don't even remember what his name is, but it's a white ice dragon.
Oh, it's white. You never told me it was white.
It's not quite like Godzilla. He's bipedal, and he's got like crystals that come out of his head and his back, and they're icy looking. And the design is kind of cool. It looks neat. It's definitely my favorite non-Godzilla design that's original to the Monsterverse. I'm interested to see what his personality is going to be. I'm interested. I say personality, but I don't.
His dating profile and I don't know. I mean, he's just there so Godzilla has someone to beat at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to have their guy to spar off against.
Yeah, I guess. Probably. And then we have Scrappy Doo Kong.
Yay. Because everything gets better with Scrappy Doo.
Hi, I'm Scrappy Doo. Scrappy Doo? Let me at him. Let me at him.
That's what improves a product.
Emphasis on do.
Yes.
I mean, I hope that they don't go down the Transformers. You know how they had Wheelie in one of those Transformer movies. He was just abysmal, just like humping Megan Fox's leg and just being a weirdo, creepy. Who finds this funny? I don't know. He doesn't look like he's overly like cutesy. You know, he just looks like an aged down Kong creature.
Sure.
And as long as he's he's no different than Son of Godzilla from the 70s, who looked closer to E.T. actually.
He did. I don't think we want to bring that comparison.
E.T. phone home.
But he has been. People hate him and people love him. You know, he's got two things. But I hope that this baby Kong has at least some redeeming qualities to him. I'm hoping. See, a lot of this is based on hope, and hope is not a strategy.
I feel like that's what the writers do. I hope this is good, because I sure as hell don't know good from bad.
Yeah. All right, and the returning actors. Do you recognize any of them from any of the other movies? As a non-fan,
the girl and the little girl and her keeper. I can't remember the actress's name.
Yeah, I'm bad with names too. But she was in
Michael Terry Henry's in here, and he deserves to be somewhere else.
Yeah. Everybody from King of the Monsters, who was then in Godzilla vs. Kong, they are all gone now by this movie.
Yes.
Like, we don't have Ken Watanabe anymore. We don't have Millie Bobby Brown anymore, or her father. We don't have the woman who was in Lady in the Water. Not Lady in the Water. Oh my God. The Guillermo del Toro movie. With the Gill Man.
Yeah.
Shape of Water.
Shape of Water.
You know. The Shape of Water. That actress. Who was in the first... She was actually in the first Godzilla movie. She was in 2014. And in King of the Monsters. Not returning in King Kong. In Godzilla vs. Kong. Obviously, she got nominated for an Oscar, so she was like, yeah, maybe I don't have to be in these movies. So it looks like nothing surprising for you.
No.
And it looks like nothing in it made me want to jump up and pump
I was going to ask, are you excited about this? Do you watch this and you're sitting at home going, hell yes.
Inside.
Godzilla.
Like, honestly, inside, there's some part of me that's like, cool. I'm gonna go see that. Like, I'm a fan of movies. I'm a fan of movies, and that side of me is like, man, that's really cool. I wish it was in a better. I wish that level of CGI and care. I wish that was nested in a good film. You know, like, it doesn't look like a compelling story. It doesn't look like it's going to be anything like -1 in terms of its grounded realism. Obviously it's the opposite direction.
And you can't bring that in as part
no
3, 4. What are we at
But
here?
the part of me that grew up in the late 70s and through the early 80s watching Godzilla reruns, you know, having no idea of the internet, not knowing how many Godzilla movies there were, and just tuning in and being, oh, I've seen this one. But there was so many Godzilla movies, and they were all so over the top and campy. A lot of them were. And that's just me as a child falling in love with it, you know? And this just looks like an updated version of that. So if I didn't have those experiences, I probably wouldn't think that this was great at all.
See, I hear what you're saying. I don't get it. I don't have this life experience
Right.
that I can apply to anything, right? Like, I was born a Batman fan. I came out wearing a cape. And I'll tell you what, after, by the time Batman Forever, you were sitting next to me in that theater.
It's the car, right? Chicks love the car. The bat signal is not a beeper. Holy rusted metal, Batman! Huh? Your ground, it's all metal, it's full of holes, you know? Holy!
Oh, I wanted to leave at the halfway point. It would have been the first movie I ever walked out
I
in.
remember making eye contact with you over several scenes.
And I, you know, and I was that kid that dressed up like Batman every other Halloween until he wasn't allowed to go trick-or-treating anymore. But I don't accept bad Batman content just because, man, I sure loved that when I was 6.
Here's
Batman's going to put on a cape and punch a guy, drive the Batmobile. It's amazing. No, it's not.
So that's an interesting parallel, and it probably deserves a video of its own. This is bizarre, but I've always found a good parallel between Godzilla and Batman.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
No, that makes sense, actually.
Because both, obviously, Godzilla 54 was a beloved classic movie, and Batman, not a movie, but was a classic comic book character. Mm-hmm. You know, detective comics, and both had their beginnings long ago. And during the 60s and 70s, Godzilla went ultra camp, and so did Batman.
Riddler.
Adam West. Now, I wanted to ask, were you a fan of the Adam West ever? Or did
Yes.
you... Okay.
So, I mean, I watched Adam West back when I watched Super Friends.
In the great hall of the Justice League, there are assembled the world's 4 greatest heroes.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, when the Wonder Twin powers were activating, I was okay with Adam West. I'm okay with Adam West now. But...
For what it is.
For what it is. But if someone brought out just, hey, look what we're doing.
Right.
It's the Adam West version of Batman in 2024. I'm not on board with it.
But it is. If Batman did come out with a campy Batman all of a sudden, it would be like, pfft, because everybody is like, even looking back at Tim Burton's now, it's still kind of goofy.
Yeah, it is.
But it was super dark.
That was it,
at the time.
Yes. But I would even take campy if it was handled well. If it was handled artfully and creatively, I could take campy. But if you're just like, look what we're doing. This is what this feels like. This works for Transformers. This works with Forever. You know, like whatever we're doing, just let's not put a lot of thought into this. Like, you can do it. You can make any content and you can make it funny and if you put the care into it. The people who wrote this weren't worried about that. This is all marketing.
Yeah.
From minute to minute. You know, like...
Yeah, I get you. It can be summarized by Godzilla Minus One. Again, Godzilla Minus One was written and directed and crafted by people who love Godzilla.
Yeah.
And the people who made Godzilla X Kong, New Empire, were... Now, I'm not saying those people don't love Godzilla. I'm sure they do. But there are people that are over them.
Yeah, it's a studio. It's a studio.
Sort of like, we're not going to give you the money to do what you want to do unless you add this, and this.
But, I mean, even still, like, if you go back, and I don't remember it well, but if you go back to, like, the Godzilla with, like, Bryan Cranston, that one, to where we are now, like, it's a...
Night and day.
It's a tonal shift, but it's still the same, like, they didn't, it's like Fast and Furious, right? I mean, look where the dude's in space now. Like, what was the very first Fast and Furious movie about, right? It's the same kind of thing, right?
Did they really take it to space?
Oh, yeah, they've been to... Yeah, man, Tyrese and what's his name?
What are they up to now? No,
X just came out.
Is that 10?
10, yeah.
Or is that just like
10? Yeah.
Roman numeral 10?
You just feel the marketing and the
what worked? Like, they probably took a poll. Like, what worked? What didn't work? And a lot of the things I remember people complaining about in Godzilla 2014, Gareth Edwards. I liked it. It was atmospheric. It kind of had Jaws vibes a little bit. It was like, we're not going to show you the monsters. It was teased. I thought that getting rid of Bryan Cranston was a mistake.
My wife died here. Something killed my wife.
That was their number one big mistake. They should have kept him as the main character.
Yeah.
And I will stand by that. I can't change my mind. Quicksilver coming in and his son, whatever his name is, I can't remember. That dude, he couldn't carry the movie. He was just like pedestrian. He just became like the head and shoulder that we're looking past seeing the giant monsters.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. Doesn't matter. I like Bryan Cranston's performance was great, and they should have stayed with that. But it was there. A lot of people complained about the fact that there was no monsters in it. So what they do? The very next movie was Godzilla, King of the Monsters, and it had Godzilla, Ghidorah, Mothra, Rodan. It was like, here's all your monsters.
Sorry we let you down last.
And
fan service is what's wrong with the movie industry.
Yeah.
Looking at you, J.J. Abrams.
Master of lens flare. That's another video. J.J. Abrams, he's a guy that I love his work and I hate his work.
Yeah.
And it's like he was like a promising Padawan that went to the dark side. I loved Super 8. You know? It was
me too.
great. It felt like it was like a movie that that came out in the 80s that I missed and then saw it.
Yeah.
And I was like, look at these, because it felt like that. And as aspiring filmmakers ourselves, I kind of felt like, oh, that was us when we were kids.
Yep.
All our friends out there in the field making a movie.
Right.
Seeing a train and going, oh, production value. We did that. We lived that.
We did do that.
And so it touched me in that way. But then he goes and starts doing, he gets his, what do they call it? He gets his juice. He gets he gets the power to do things, and the amount of people that can tell him no gets smaller and smaller. And I think that happens to all the greats. It happens with Peter Jackson. It happened with
Speaking of
Zack Snyder.
I was going to say, Peter Jackson. Speaking of giant Kong movies, right? There's another one that went right off a cliff.
Well, you know what? That's another. I love that. I love that movie.
Okay.
I loved it. I loved Peter Jackson's King Kong movie. It was long. And there was a couple things I would have done different. But it was, and this is like, for instance, this is just, you hear this all the time when you read reviews of that movie, but it was a love letter to the original King Kong 1933.
Yeah.
And it was more of a love essay. It was like you the scroll and it rolls out and hits the other people in the feet. Yeah, that was I love that movie. I have a soft spot in my heart for that. And my wife hates it. We saw it in the theater and she was like, it was like she didn't like parts of Two Towers that went on forever. She was all I remember in that movie was them running and running and running and running. And then the King Kong, all she remembers is a boat trip that took forever, them running through a jungle forever, monsters trying to eat them forever. I was like, that was the whole point, I know. Preaching to the choir. Godzilla X Kong New Empire comes out next month.
Yep.
And I was hoping that I wasn't going to have to drag you to it. But now it looks like I'm gonna have to
kicking and screaming, buddy. Gonna
have to sedate you and then like tell you in the movie theater we're gonna watch Batman 2. That would just make it worse for you.
You just I'll make you buy me dinner or something. I don't know.
All right, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I guess it's fair. It might not be fair still. Might owe you something still after that, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so it's interesting to have the opinion of a non-Godzilla fan. I feel like that's one of the things that kind of makes this just one person just gushing over how great Godzilla is. It's more interesting when there's somebody who has a counterpoint, and it's interesting because he's willing to do it. He's willing to share his opinion, and I still feel like you're holding back a little bit. You don't have to hold back. You can be like yourself, I think. So there's plenty of other comments in the video that in the -1 review that we did, a lot of fans really appreciated your take on it and might have been surprised at how well you received it, and were negative at how much that I picked it apart. Mm-hmm. But that's human nature. When you love something, you scrutinize it and you analyze it and you wish that it was a little more perfect. It's. I say this now. Godzilla -1 is pound for pound probably my favorite Godzilla film to date. pound for pound.
Preach.
It doesn't have the nostalgic value because obviously it hasn't been around that long to be that way for me. But it takes the best parts of Godzilla and takes the best parts of like filmmaking in general and marries them near perfectly, in my opinion. So shut up out there, you guys telling me that I'm not a Godzilla fan for crying out loud. So whatever, it's great. We're gonna go see this movie. And we're going to come back here and we're going to tell you what we think. And hopefully, I still hope that it'll be at least that you can walk away, you can turn your brain off a little bit and just enjoy it for what it is. Subtitles. Would you really think?
I will do my best. My best effort.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, just, well, before we see that, though, we're going to have to get you to see Godzilla King of the Monsters, which is the second film of the Monsterverse with Godzilla.
So I'm going to watch 1, 3, 2, 4.
You saw Kong Skull Island. You never saw that one?
Oh, no, you're right. I did. I forgot. Yep.
Oh, you just were thinking Godzilla.
Yeah, I was just, yeah.
Okay. Well, we don't have to revisit that. Or are you just saying you saw it? So
I know I saw it.
You good. I like that movie.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool. I thought it was fun. It's another video. Well, thanks for tuning in. We'll get back with you on the results of Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire once we see it. And so, what did you guys think of the trailer? What was your favorite part? What was your least favorite part? Where are you happy with where the Monsterverse is heading in general? In other words, this is going to divide you guys into two camps. It's going to be traditional Godzilla film making from the Toho 70s era, or the Godzilla -1, serious, somber, good filmmaking Godzilla. We have two franchises kind of marching along side by side. I think, are you more excited for the Monsterverse series coming up, or are you more excited about what Toho is going to do going forward with Godzilla -1? I'm in the opinion where I'm just glad to have both. I'm glad to have both because I've been 10 year stretches without Godzilla twice in my life. So it's true. So 10 years with no new Godzilla content, and now we're getting two franchises at the same time. It's great. It's great. So what do you guys think? Comment below. And we'll see you again at Godzilla King of the Monsters review. And we'll see you then.